Soft ambient music plays. Camera pans across a decorated living room, golden ribbons, balloons shaped into a giant 30. Narrator, calm, reflective. My 30th birthday should have been a celebration. But in this house, joy always came with conditions. The camera catches my mother's proud smile, but not for me. It's for Sarah, my younger sister, twirling beside a silver suitcase. She's off to Paris tomorrow, my mother announces, voice trembling with pride. Our star girl. Guests clap, cameras flash. Someone asks about my birthday, and my mother laughs it off. Oh, Aisha doesn't mind. She's the quiet one. My cake sits untouched, candles melting down to wax. My gift, a travel neck pillow for Sarah's flight. I force a smile, but inside, something cracks. The years of being the strong one, the peacemaker, the backup plan, all boil beneath my calm. Narrator, steady, colder. They thought ignoring me would keep me silent. They thought this would break me. Slow zoom on her eyes, unwavering. Narrator, final beat. But they had no idea what was coming. Fade to black. Morning sunlight filters through thin curtains. The faint sound of a ceiling fan hums over the clatter of dishes. Narrator, calm, reflective. Every morning started the same way. Before the city woke. Before my family stirred. Before anyone remembered I existed. I'd wake up at 6, wrap my hair in a loose bun, and brew tea for 3. One for Amma, one for Sarah, and one for myself that usually went cold on the counter. I worked from home as an online editor for a publishing firm. Quiet work, stable, predictable. In a city like Karachi, peace itself feels like a privilege. But in our house, peace wasn't free. Amma had a gift for comparison. Sarah gets these opportunities because she's confident, she'd say. You should learn from her. I used to nod and smile like a well-trained soldier. Years of emotional training. Learning when to stay silent, when to soften my words, when to let go of fairness. Sarah was 2 years younger, charming, spontaneous, adored. She studied fashion design and had a habit of filming every moment for her social media. Family love, she'd caption, even on days when she hadn't spoken to me in weeks. Still, I tried. Every Eid, every birthday, every small win of hers. I was there, clapping the loudest, holding the camera, making sure her light never dimmed. It wasn't jealousy that grew inside me. It was something colder, invisibility. Our father had left when I was 12. After that, Amma's world became small. A place where she and Sarah shone, and I filled the shadows that kept the light steady. Sometimes, I thought she blamed me for his leaving. Maybe because I looked like him. Calm, measured, the kind of quiet that made her uneasy. Narrator, softly. When people think of favoritism, they imagine grand things. Inheritance, money, gifts. But it's not always that loud. Sometimes it's who they ask to take the photo instead of being in it. Sometimes it's who they forget to hug. Symbolic object, the piggy bank. In the corner of my desk sat a small, chipped ceramic piggy bank. I'd bought it at a street market years ago. Every month, I'd slip in a few hundred rupees, saving for a solo trip someday. My own small rebellion. Sarah used to joke, "You and your little savings. One day I'll just take that to Paris." We'd laugh. But later, when she wasn't looking, I'd move the piggy bank to my wardrobe, as if even dreams needed protection in this house. The first sting. 2 weeks before my birthday, I came home from work to find the living room covered in travel brochures. Sarah was sitting cross-legged on the floor, planning her Paris course. My mother looked up, beaming. "Guess what? Your sister's going to Paris next month." I blinked. "Next month? That's my birthday." Amma waved her hand. "We'll celebrate early." It's her dream, Beta. Sarah smiled. "You'll help me pack, right?" I nodded automatically, the same way I'd done all my life. Help first, feel later. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling fan. The sound of laughter drifted from the next room. Sarah and Amma watching old dramas, giggling at something private. My throat tightened, not from anger, but from exhaustion. I thought of my piggy bank, small, patient, full of years of quiet sacrifice, and I whispered to it like an old friend, maybe one day it'll be our turn. Public embarrassment. 2 days before the birthday dinner, I was in the kitchen when Amma called out to me. "Aisha, come quickly!" I rushed in, wiping my hands on my dupatta. She was on a video call with our relatives. "Look, everyone," Amma said cheerfully. "Sarah's going to Paris." "She got a full scholarship." Someone asked, "And Aisha? What's new with her?" Amma laughed lightly. "Oh, you know Aisha. She's the stable one. Always helping others. Our home manager." Laughter echoed through the phone. Home manager. My chest burned, but my face didn't show it. Years of practice, smile, nod, disappear. That night, I sat at my desk, editing a manuscript about self-worth. The irony wasn't lost on me. Narrator, tone tightening. That was the night I realized. Silence wasn't peace. It was obedience. And I'd mistaken one for the other all my life. Camera pans to the piggy bank glinting in lamplight. Narrator, final beat. The last coin I dropped that night wasn't for a trip anymore. It was for my escape. Fade out. Soft music ends on a low, suspenseful note. Sound of distant traffic. Karachi twilight glows orange over apartment balconies. Narrator, steady, quiet. After Sarah left for Paris, the house felt emptier, but not quieter. Silence has a way of growing loud when it's full of unspoken things. Amma missed her terribly, or so she said. Every conversation began with Sarah, ended with Sarah. "Your sister sent pictures from the Eiffel Tower," she'd sigh. "Your sister met her teacher, such a respectable man. Your sister got featured in a magazine." I'd nod, pretending interest. But inside, a slow erosion was happening. Weeks turned to months. I handled bills, groceries, repairs, all the quiet labor that kept Amma's world steady. And still, every phone call from Sarah ended with the same line. "Amma, tell Aisha not to forget my parcel." I need that perfume. Not once did she ask how I was doing. Pressure mounts. At work, things started changing. I'd always been dependable, but lately, even my supervisor noticed my tiredness. "You need a break," she said one afternoon. "Go somewhere. Do something for yourself." I smiled weakly. "I'll try." But I didn't believe her. People like me didn't go anywhere. We stayed, fixed, endured. Nights blurred into one another. Sometimes Amma would criticize my cooking. Other times, she'd compare me to Sarah's new Paris apartment, her elegant friends. And then one evening, she said it, the sentence that landed like a slap I never saw coming. "You know, Aisha, maybe if you had more confidence, like Sarah, you'd be somewhere too." I didn't reply. My voice, once my ally, had become my prisoner. That night, I woke up from a dream. Sarah on a stage, receiving an award, and me in the back row, clapping until my hands bled. The rumors begin. It started small. A cousin mentioned hearing that Aisha chose to stay single because she's jealous of Sarah's life. Then a neighbor hinted that I was too quiet, maybe bitter. Amma didn't deny it. She just sighed and said, "She's sensitive. You know how she is. Words travel faster than apologies. By the end of the month, I'd become the odd one, the woman who didn't know how to smile properly." One day, at a family lunch, an aunt patted my shoulder and said, "Don't worry, Beta. Your time will come." I smiled, but something inside me whispered, "When?" The breaking point. It was a Sunday evening when it finally happened. Amma called me into the living room. Her tone was formal, almost rehearsed. "Aisha," she began, "Sarah's apartment rent in Paris has gone up. I'll need to use the savings account, the one I opened in your name, to help her for a few months. My pulse slowed. "That's my emergency fund. It's all family money," she said. "Sarah's future helps us all. You'll understand one day something in me went completely still." I didn't shout, I didn't cry. I just nodded and walked to my room. When I closed the door, I finally saw myself, really saw myself, in the mirror. Pale, tired, always the helper, never the helped. Narrator, soft, breaking. That night, I realized love shouldn't cost your dignity. Unexpected ally. The next day, I went out to clear my head and ended up in a small cafe near my office, a place I'd passed 100 times but never entered. It smelled like roasted coffee and old books. A woman sat across from me, older, maybe in her 40s, with kind eyes and the calm of someone who'd fought her own battles. She noticed my trembling hands and smiled. "Rough day?" I laughed quietly. "Rough life," she chuckled. "Then you've already survived the hardest part." Her name was Nadia, a writer and editor for a small magazine. We talked for hours about work, families, expectations, silence. She didn't interrupt, didn't pity. She just listened. Before leaving, she said something that stayed with me. "You can't teach people to see your worth, Aisha. You can only stop shrinking so they notice it." Her words hit like sunlight breaking through a dusty window. Narrator, hopeful, but wary. That was the first time someone reminded me I wasn't alone. Camera lingers on Aisha leaving the cafe. Faint smile, city lights flickering around her. The music shifts from somber to quietly defiant. Fade to black. Rain taps against the apartment windows. The sound is soft but relentless, like the thoughts running through Aisha's mind. Narrator, measured, reflective. After meeting Nadia, something inside me shifted. Not loud, not dramatic, just awake. She'd text every few days, sending quotes about boundaries, self-worth, small acts of courage. One said, "Silence isn't always peace. Sometimes it's survival." Those words became my quiet rebellion. Family meeting. It started a month later. Amma called a family discussion, the kind that always felt more like a verdict than a conversation. When I entered the living room, she was sitting stiffly on the sofa, phone in hand, speaker on. Sarah's voice crackled through. "Aisha, I need your help again." The Paris course extension came through. "But I need a sponsor letter. Amma said you could co-sign?" I frowned. "Co-sign? That means financial responsibility." Amma cut me off. "Don't overthink it. It's just a formality." A formality. That word had followed me all my life. Every sacrifice, every dismissal, every forgotten birthday, reduced to a formality. I took a deep breath. "No, Amma." Not this time. Her expression froze. "Excuse me?" I said no. "I'm not co-signing anything." The silence in that room felt louder than thunder. Sarah's voice on the phone rose sharply. "Are you serious, Aisha? You're really this selfish?" I almost laughed, not out of joy but disbelief. Years of giving, and the first time I said no, I became selfish. The counterattack. 2 days later, Amma stopped speaking to me. The quiet treatment, her favorite weapon. She'd pass by me in the hall like I was invisible. The meals I cooked went untouched. Then the whispers began again, calls from relatives. I heard Aisha refuse to help Sarah. Such a shame. After everything Amma's done for her, they painted me as ungrateful, bitter, cold. But something was different this time. The shame didn't land. It floated above me, powerless. Hidden evidence. One evening, while organizing the household files, I found a folder tucked behind old utility bills. It was full of financial records, proof that Amma had used my name on several accounts, moving money between them to fund Sarah's studies. My stomach turned. She hadn't asked for help. She'd taken it. I sat there for hours, papers spread around me, trying to steady my breathing. Narrator, calm, low. There it was. Years of quiet theft disguised as love. Instead of confrontation, I began documenting everything. Copies, statements, screenshots, quiet steps toward truth. When I told Nadia, she didn't look surprised. People like your mother, she said gently, don't see control as cruelty. They see it as care. I asked, what do I do with all this? She smiled faintly. You keep it. Not for revenge, for protection. Amma's last attempt. A week later, Amma appeared in my doorway, face soft, voice sweet. I made your favorite kheer, she said. I hesitated, years of conditioning pulling me toward forgiveness. She sat on my bed, pretending warmth. Beta, don't let small misunderstandings come between us. Sarah is your sister. You know she means well. I met her eyes. For the first time, not with guilt, but with clarity. I know, Amma. And that's why I'm finally doing what's right. For both of us. Her smile faltered. What do you mean? I didn't answer. I simply opened my drawer and locked the folder inside, my insurance against their manipulation. Sarah returns. 2 months later, Sarah returned for a short visit. The house buzzed with excitement. Neighbors came by. Amma cooked her best dishes. Laughter filled the air. I stayed in my room. That night, as I walked past the living room, I overheard Sarah whispering, She's changed, Amma. There's something off about her. Cold. Distant. Amma sighed. Don't worry. She'll fall in line again. She always does. I smiled in the dark. Narrator. Voice sharpened. They thought they still had control. Camera zooms in on Aisha's reflection in the hallway mirror. Eyes calm, lips set. Narrator. Final beat. They didn't. Thunder rolls outside. Fade to black. Soft piano hums beneath the sound of city rain. The apartment lights flicker faintly, like a warning. Narrator. Steady, deliberate. They say storms don't come out of nowhere. They gather slowly, quietly, until one drop too many tips everything over. For years, I'd let my mother's words bruise me, not realizing how much damage silence could cause. But now, the silence was hers. After finding the proof of her secret accounts, I stopped reacting. No shouting, no tears, only observation. Every lie she told became a record in my mind. Every slight became evidence. And when people stopped seeing me as the quiet one, that's when the real war began. Rumors and reputations. It started with whispers at family gatherings. She's become arrogant, one aunt said. She doesn't even cook for Amma anymore, another added. Amma would sigh and confirm, I don't know what happened to her, honestly. Maybe she's been influenced by bad company. Bad company, that was Nadia. Amma didn't know her name, but she knew something had changed in me, and it scared her. Sarah joined from Paris, sending long emotional voice notes to relatives. I'm so worried about Aisha. She's acting strange. Maybe she's depressed? Soon, pity replaced respect. People looked at me like a tragedy they could gossip about. But I'd stopped caring. I had bigger plans now. The documentation. Every night, after Amma went to bed, I'd sit at my desk and scan documents. Bills, account records, receipts, all showing how my name had been used to funnel money for Sarah's lifestyle. I even traced an old property deed, a small plot of land my father had left in my name before he disappeared. Amma had been paying property tax on it with my money, preparing to sell it for family needs. That deed became my new symbolic object, proof that something in this world truly belonged to me. I wrapped it in a clear folder and locked it away, right beside the piggy bank. My future sat in that drawer, small, quiet, waiting. The threats. When subtle guilt didn't work, Amma shifted tactics. One night she confronted me in the kitchen, voice sharp. You're trying to destroy this family. You think I don't know what you're planning? I kept washing the dishes. I'm not planning anything, Amma. I'm protecting what's mine. Her tone rose. You're turning against your own mother for money? I turned, calm but firm. For respect. She went silent. The truth always did that, sliced deeper than shouting ever could. Flying monkeys. The next week, the calls began. Relatives, neighbors, even an old teacher, all carrying the same message, rehearsed and poisonous. Your mother loves you. Don't ruin your relationship over petty things. One cousin said, Sarah told us you've changed. You used to be so sweet, I laughed quietly. Maybe I just stopped being sweet to people who enjoy bitterness. Every manipulation tactic had a pattern: emotional blackmail, guilt, fake concern, and once you saw the pattern, the power dissolved. Narrator, cool, detached. When they realized their words didn't wound anymore, they panicked. The quiet rebuild. Nadia helped me open a separate account in my own name, secure, untouchable. She taught me how to document harassment, how to stay steady in conversations, how to speak just enough to make others doubt the lies. Don't fight loud battles, she said, win quietly. I started therapy, began freelancing for other companies, slowly building savings, real independence, not the illusion Amma had created, and for the first time in years, I slept peacefully. Sarah returns, again. When Sarah came back home for Eid, the house turned into a stage again. Laughter, perfume, glittering dresses. Amma introduced her to everyone like royalty. Our pride from Paris. But something about Sarah had changed too. Her confidence felt brittle, stretched too thin. At dinner, she casually mentioned, Amma, we'll sell that small property now, right? It's time to invest in my business. I looked up slowly. That property is in my name. The table went silent. Amma tried to smooth it over with a laugh. Yes, family property. We'll handle it together. I smiled faintly. Actually, I've already handled it. Taxes, documents, everything. It's legally protected. Now Amma's spoon froze midair. Sarah's eyes widened. The power dynamic shifted in an instant. Invisible, but undeniable. Narrator. Measured. They still smiled for the guests. But under the table, I could feel the tremor in my mother's hand. Rising stakes days later, I received a call from an unknown number. It was Sarah, furious, breathless. How dare you go behind Amma's back? You've ruined everything. She's been crying all morning. I let her finish, then said quietly, if the truth ruins everything, maybe it needed to be ruined. She screamed, cursed, hung up. That was the night Amma's mask finally cracked. She slammed my bedroom door open and shouted, I regret ever raising you. I stood up, calm, steady, holding her gaze. No, Amma, I said softly. You regret that I stopped being useful. She froze. Her rage met a wall it couldn't climb. Narrator, firm, resolute. For the first time she saw what I'd become, not her shadow, not her servant, but her mirror. Camera pans to the piggy bank and the deed on the desk, glowing faintly under lamplight. Narrator, final beat. The day of reckoning was coming, and no one could stop it. Fade to black. Slow drumbeat begins. Wide living room window. Monsoon rain lashes against the glass. Lightning flashes. A stack of papers lies on the coffee table. Narrator, low, steady. When truth finally arrives, it doesn't knock. It walks in, dripping with rain, too heavy to hide. It was meant to be a simple dinner. Amma wanted to celebrate before Sarah's flight to Paris, but I knew it was a stage. One last act of humiliation. I wore white, calm, silent. Sarah glowed beside her, laughter rehearsed, pride radiant. Halfway through dinner, Amma began her script. Our Sarah is launching her brand. We'll use that empty plot for her dream applause. Smiles, all eyes on me, the signature they expected. I set my fork down. That plot isn't empty, I said quietly. And it's not for sale. Silence. Then disbelief. I pulled out the folder, property deed, bank transfers, every lie they'd buried in my name. Gasps rippled as truth covered the table like spilled light. You used me as a ghost sponsor, I said, and you called it love. Amma trembled. Sarah whispered, "You're jealous." I met her eyes. Jealousy is wanting what's theirs. I only wanted what was mine. No one defended them. Rain thundered, nature clapping for justice. Amma's voice cracked. "You'll destroy this family." I stood firm. You destroyed it when you taught love to choose sides. I gathered my papers, calm, final. "I don't want apologies," I said. "I want change." Then I walked out, not fleeing, just free. Outside, the city smelled of wet earth and second chances. In my hand, the piggy bank, full at last. Narrator, soft, resolute. I didn't win a battle that night. I ended a war I never started. Fade to black. Dawn over Karachi. The city hums. Azan, buses, birds. Aisha sits on a small rooftop terrace holding tea. Narrator, soft, steady. The morning after the storm feels strange. Silence isn't peace. It's what's left when pretending ends. By noon, everyone knew. Sarah's flight to Paris, canceled. Amma's curtains drawn. Her silence, finally, consequence. A new beginning. I rented a small office above a bakery that smelled of cardamom. Started freelancing. No borrowed names, no shadows. Each morning I whispered, "This belongs to me." The piggy bank sat on my desk, not for saving, but remembering. Sarah's visit. She came quietly. "You were right," she said. "I forgive you," I replied, "but I'm done fixing what I didn't break." Final scene night again. Candlelight beside the golden cracked piggy bank. Narrator, soft, resolute. They called me quiet. They were right. But silence isn't weakness. It's strength learning to speak. Slow piano plays. Warm, golden light fills the frame, Aisha's face calm, the city quiet behind her. Narrator, soft, direct. Have you ever been the one they overlooked? The one who kept giving, hoping they'd finally see your worth? Maybe your story isn't so different from mine. Maybe your silence got heavy too. But here's what I learned. Worth isn't something they give you. It's something you claim when you stop chasing love that costs your peace. So if you've ever faced betrayal or quiet cruelty, remember this isn't the end. Narrator, gentle, resolute. It's the beginning of who you were always meant to be. Fade out. Soft piano continues. Title appears. On my 30th birthday, they ignored me. Now they remember my strength, for my